Hi, I'm Kenny Clark. Like Joel said, like Joel said, I'm a senior at Smith College, and I am a French and geoscience major. You can see my shirt, geoscience. At an early age, I discovered that being multilingual was an essential characteristic one had to obtain to successfully delve into a culture. Whenever I thought about going somewhere to another country that spoke another language, I always thought about how I would learn the language. I was never one to rely on English speakers. My whole life, I have been surrounded by my family's Jamaican heritage and patois, and although a patois of English, Jamaican patois, and that exposure opened a door to a non-English speaking world, shaping me and what I saw for my future self. I dabbled in a little bit of everything because I love the similarities between languages shared due to their shared linguistic heritage. I took Italian and ended up studying abroad in Italy for the entirety of my junior year in high school. I took Greek, Russian, and Latin also. I found that language is half of the culture and the intricacies of language, such as metaphors, idioms, even cadence, really, can show what the culture holds in high regard. So during my college career, I began studying French. For the first 2 years of it, I felt limited by the grammar stuff, but by my third year, when I decided to go abroad to Paris, my fluency encouraged me to explore the French culture in its entirety. As the year went on, I joined debate teams. I did parkour for a hot second. That was awful. Um, but I began using my language skills to interact with people who were my own age. And what I noticed was that understanding teachers and academic French had become easier, but colloquial French was getting increasingly difficult. The slang and the abbreviations were hard to follow because, frankly, they weren't in my textbook. What I found difficult but fascinating about the French language was the nuanced levels of speaking to people. And yes, there's an obvious perspective you give to people who you don't know or who are in higher positions than you or people who are older than you, but there's even a different way of speaking to people who are just different from you. And this aspect reminded me of Jamaican patois. So when I was abroad, I discovered my love for these language levels, the people who speak them, and especially the people who can go fluidly between them. It reminded me of how I code switch with my own family. I speak patois with some, and I speak in my Bostonian accent with others. I'm from Boston. This love pushed the envelope of the seemingly linguistically homogenous culture that French culture was to me. When I first began French 4 years ago, I didn't even think about the Francophone culture or the fact that 30 countries, 30 plus countries, and some even in the Caribbean speak French. I thought of baguettes and Louis XIV. Strangely enough, without initially taking the plunge and learning French, I don't think I'd be as interested in expanding my own knowledge of the Caribbean or Jamaica for that matter. For example, 2 weeks ago, I didn't realize until 2 weeks ago that, well, I didn't realize until I was talking to my dad, complaining about some French homework that I was doing, that when I speak patois, there's actual French slang in the patois that I speak every day. I've been taking French for 4 years and speaking patois all my life, and I didn't even realize. That, to me, being able to learn something like that, firstly shows how interconnected everything is, but secondly shows how, yeah, if you learn another language and delve into another culture, you can get insight on it, but you can get insight on your own culture. And that to me is the beauty of learning a language, when you can reflect it back to yourself.